Thanks, Tim, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to have a bit of a chat about a product that is not well known and not well understood, despite the fact that most people are probably surrounded by it. Next slide. You can read this disclaimer on the website or on this avenue here. We've got three very high-value silica sand projects in WA. Now, WA is a good region to be operating. We've got over 1 billion tonnes in resources, and we're well down the track with all the planning, heritage, environmental studies, because we started on this in 2017. We have signed up an initial offtake for foundry sand into South Korea. And there's a lot more potential there as well, and we're in discussions with quite a number of other companies. First cab off the rank will be Arrowsmith North, and that'll be followed by Maluish and Arrowsmith Central. We've got mining leases all over the project, so we're heading down the track of EPA approval and mining approval. But infrastructure is basically in place. Really, this is initially a silica sand export, but we have the potential for glass manufacturing and other downstream industries in Western Australia. We'll be working on all of those at the same time as trying to get all these approvals. Okay. Silica sand is the most used commodity on the planet after air and water. About 50 billion tonnes a year of silica sand is used. 49.5 goes into concrete. And concrete is the main issue facing silica sand suppliers into the glass making industry. Glass making, but also silica sand is in the monitor you're looking at. There's a thin film on it, there's LCDs in it, there's a backing plate on it, and the plastics around it all contain silica sand. Neon tubes, all sort of lighting, paint, hard plastics. There's innumerable products that are produced that include silica sand. Now, not all have very high tonnage requirements, but certainly glass making for flat glass, which includes automobile glass, but also container glass. Within Asia, it's about 130 odd million tonnes a year, and it's growing at sort of 5-6%. And 47% of the world's glass is made in the Asia Pacific. So it's a finite resource. All the silica sand that's known in the world that's suitable for making glass is finite. It's all well known. It's not like you can drill deeper and get more. But the main issue facing most of Asia at the moment is most of the high quality sand is being dredged from freshwater rivers and lakes, which is not sustainable. And most of those Asian governments are ruling it out. So it's become quite a tight supply situation, and the demand is increasing. So we're trying to position ourselves in the right place. We're WA-based company, ASX listed since 2010. We've got the three projects, Arrowsmith North, Central and Maluish. We actually have another project that we're about to develop down near Esperance. But each of these sites actually produce a subtly different quality sand. And when I say quality, it's not just the mineralogy of it, but it's also the grain size and shape. So Arrowsmith North is suitable for the foundry market, which is a surprisingly large market, because it's the right size and shape. Now, you can't make size and shape. It all depends on the resource you've got. But it also has quite the mineralogy that's suitable for flat glass and container glass, as is Arrowsmith Central. Maluish, though, is much higher quality. It's in the very high quality, so it can be used for producing ultra clear glass. Ultra clear glass, the biggest demand is for the cover glass that goes over solar panels. That's, as you can imagine, it's a huge growing industry. But so each of these projects will be supplying into different markets. They're not competing with each other. They've all got established infrastructure with power, water. Railway lines are adjacent to each of these projects. So this is set up for bulk commodity export. And our planning and permitting is all very well advanced in Arrowsmith North. It's a small board, only 4 members in the board. We've also got a commercial manager. Neil Kim is our marketing manager. He's based in KL. He's been involved for more than 16 years now of selling and silica sand. He knows the market extremely well. Share price is down a fair bit over the last year. When we're at this stage here where we're getting EPA approval, it doesn't get a lot of news flow, so the share price will always drift. But we've got adequate cash in there to get to the point of decision to mine. EPA approvals are long-winded and terribly frustrating, but they don't cost a lot of money. Top 20 is pretty tight. So we're in reasonably good shape to get this all these projects to the point of making a decision to mine. Arrowsmith North, with the way approvals are going at the moment, we expect to be able to get production from around mid-2023. Depends on the environmental approvals, but we're well down the track. But it's 200 odd million tonnes. This is going to last 100 years. So even though the approvals take quite some time, it'll be a very, very long-term project, and we won't need to go back for approvals for about 30 odd years. We're looking at exporting about 2 million tonnes or producing 2 million tonnes per year. We've actually developed a processing circuit that is fairly unique, not using spirals, but we're able to lift out all the I guess the other components that we don't want in the silica sand, and we're able to produce a product that is suitable for the glass market. We're in the process of revising capital estimates. The last capital estimate was in 2018. So we need to revise that. There's been quite an impact on the price of steel in that time, and most of the plant is steel. The railway line from Indiaba to Geraldton, it's adjacent to the projects. We have access to that line. We've in discussion with ARC Infrastructure, who own that railway line, and also we've got an MOU with Geraldton Port. We've already completed the water bore. It goes in the Arrowsmith North. They can produce about 50 litres per second, and we need about 30 litres per second, so we've got plenty of water. Brand Highway, we're in the final throes now of getting approval for the intersection with Brand Highway. And we've got a gas field right next door to us. The Waitsia gas field is next door, so we would like to think that in the longer term we'll end up with a gas-fired power supply with some sort of hybrid arrangement with solar. We've developed this as well. It's called vegetation direct transfer, and basically we're taking out a sod of topsoil, about sort of 3 metres by 3 metres by 400 mil deep. All the vegetation in our operating areas, or the critical vegetation, is all very small grasses, sedges with shallow roots. So this picks up the sod, and we put it back behind us where we've been mining. It's taken quite a while to have everybody understand what this process is about. It's been trialled before very successfully, and we think this will give us the best outcome we could possibly get for rehabilitation. As you can see, this bush that's here is about waist high. So it's all the little grasses and sedges around there. They're recalcitrant type species. So they can have a look at that methodology on the website. Arrowsmith North, it's been a long-winded mining approval rate. We've had confirmation under the EPBC Act that they'll take the state accredited assessment. It's what's called a PER assessment, level of assessment. We had the environmental scoping document approved in March. We lobbed the last document that we put in the ERD on the 14th of April. It's due to be published at any moment for about 30 days. So after that, we'll have a better idea on the timing for final approvals. Whereas Arrowsmith Central is a very, very similar operation. So we've had confirmation under the EPBC Act, and also it requires a PER assessment, and we just lodged the ESD a couple of days ago. So that's moving through the process as well. Processing, quite simple. It's really the key is attritioning, which is basically sand rubbing on sand, and hydrofloat. And then we can screen off different size products. So we can produce about 3 different products from Arrowsmith North. Maluish, just quickly, it's very high grade, low impurity. It's the same process, duplicate plant, and we're about to lodge the start of that process with the referral documents. They've been drafted up, and we're just looking at the right timing to lob that. But that's suitable for solar panels, the glass that goes over solar panels, which is it's creating huge demand. We've got letters of intent here for about 13 million tonnes a year, which we can't produce that much. Once again, the Banksias they're easy to propagate. It's really the low grasses and sedges that are suitable for VDT. So we'll be able to use the same rehab mining process here as well. We're conscious of our ESG requirements, and every move we sort of make is to try and reduce our impact and on the environment and also on the local community. So in a nutshell, we're really trying to place VRX and the production of silica sand in the right place at the right time. So very long life projects. We've got our projects in the middle of the Midwest, which is going to be renewable city, I think, in the next 10 years. So we could get access to renewable power and also hydrogen. The potential for high-tech glass production from Maluish is very high, and we're talking to 4 companies at the moment about maybe putting glass manufacturing here in WA. And the market for that sort of glass is just increasing significantly if we measure by the number of inquiries we get. So there's certainly that opportunity for downstream processing. So we think we're going to be in the right place at the right time.
Thanks, Bruce. It's always about the right place and the right time.
Yes.
Can you? I've got a couple of questions here. I've only got time for a few. Can you talk us through how silicon sands are priced in the market? Is there transparency around how contracts are priced?
Nope. You'll find that almost all the production of the products that use silica sand are held in big multinationals. So if you want to do any research on this, you can research the supply side of it, and there's plenty of articles around describing the issues that are around the supply side. But the actual final product size, it's almost impossible. And when I say 47% of the glass manufacturing is taken in the Asia Pacific, the bulk of that is China. So it's almost impossible to look at corporations in China and see what they produce. We are aware of all the market because of our marketing manager and his experience. But no, it's an incredibly opaque market, and there's nothing like the LME. And also you find that just a very subtle change in the quality or the size of the grains that you produce, it'll go to a different market. And there are literally hundreds of different markets for silica sand.
And the biggest suppliers in the world are China and India. Is that right?
No, the suppliers of glass, yes, but not sand. There is no seaborne trade for silica sand other than Australia. Cape Flattery in northern Queensland is the largest single supplier of exporter of silica sand in the world. Every Asian country has banned the exports of silica sand because they're all concerned about their own domestic supply. Now, mainly for concrete, but that's affecting all the glass manufacturers as well. Just June 15th, literally a couple of weeks ago, Vietnam banned exports of silica sand, and they were the last country that allowed any significant exports at all. So you can't track silica sand movements by seaborne trade.
Right, that lays the challenge. Now, there's a question here. Your original plan showed Maluish would be advanced before Arrowsmith. Can you talk? It's one of the questions here. Can you talk through what are your plans, and have you kind of reversed those plans?
Now, Arrowsmith North was always going to be developed before Maluish, and really, it's much more isolated than Maluish. That country around there has already had trials of the vegetation direct transfer method of rehabilitation. We wanted to establish that there, educate the EPA about what we're doing before we move to Maluish. Maluish is only 50 kilometres from Perth, so it will cop a lot more scrutiny, which we knew was coming. So we're developing all these processes at Arrowsmith North first.
And there's just one final question here from one of your shareholders. Is there any update on any offtake term sheets?
Not at the moment, but we've just sent off another whole bunch of samples to, I think we have 8 potential buyers. They've tested 1-2 kilos before, but they needed 50, 60 kilos for further testing. We haven't been able to provide that until we built a pilot plant. So we've just finished processing 1.5 tonne. So we're able to send out those larger samples, and they are required for them to finalise offtake. So they've only just recently been sent off. I expect in the next couple of months we'll sign up another couple of offtake partners.
And just quickly, what sort of capex are we talking here?
50 mil, 45, 50 mil, somewhere around there. I think our original estimates were sort of closer to 30. But increases in steel and almost all the components we need, it's got a kick up there. But it's relatively low capex, low maintenance, low operating cost, and it'll last an awful long time.
Bruce, that's all we have time for. Thanks for your time. Have a nice weekend.
Thanks, Tim.